Meeting to order. Would everyone please join me in pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to roll call
Chuck Davis,
here.
Councilman Mike Cooley,
Here.
Corey Oxford,
Here.
Councilman Doug Parkhurst,
Here.
Councilman Gary Lee.
Here.
Okay, has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda?
Davis. Item 17 needs to be crossed off.
I just spoke with Emery. We're not gonna remove the whole thing. We're just gonna remove, I needed
This is a different one.
the title 17.
No, number 17, item 17.
Okay. Will be a correction. Then on number 22, title 17, we need to cross out first reading. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda with the two items? Item number 17, summer 2025 pool schedule, and the first reading of ordinance number 880 with those two changes.
I'll make.
I have a second to that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of last meeting's minutes from February 18th. Is there any corrections or additions that need to be made to those? Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve meetings from the February 18th meeting?
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes from the February 18th meeting.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the bills and the transmittal. We have deposits in the amount of $176,967.12. Accounts payable in the amount of $144,222.77. Transmittals in the amount of $720 and $23,720.68, and payroll in the amount of $47,523.42.
Davis. Accounts payable should be 148,722.77.
Okay. Accounts payable are in the amount of $148,222.77. With that correction being made, do I have a motion to go ahead and approve the bills and transmittals?
I'd make a motion to approve the bills.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on. Any correspondence?
I'm sorry.
No correspondence. We'll move on to items from the public, and we have the Brush Creek Ranch here regarding the Kathy Glode Park. Would you come up to the podium, please? Lauren? Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Yes, my name's Lauren. I'm with Brush Creek and I have Gabi here. So as you all know, Brush Creek bought the nursing home and we're turning that into employee housing. So we would like to donate money to the park that's across the street. And we're open to any suggestions. We were thinking like new basketball hoops, like doggy bags, if people want to walk their dogs there. But we're open to any suggestions or anything the public wants, so.
Okay, well, we'll take that under advisement and we'll get back to you with a list of some of the things that we think may be crucial. I do like your suggestions already.
Yeah, those are just two that we thought of, but we're open to any ideas.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, We'll move on to Kathy Beck with the Carbon County Prevention Network.
Evening, Mayor, Council. I came last month and talked to you a little bit about the Carbon County Prevention Network and some of the programs that we've got going on. So I'd like to make it sort of a regular thing so I can check in monthly and let you know. Folks can check out the Carbon County Prevention Network website. If you go to the Carbon County Public Health website, there's a section there where you can go to prevention. It'll give you a schedule of things that are happening, and then we typically have a theme every month. And this month, our theme is vaping. There's a lot of additional resource there for you all to check out, but a couple of the flyers that we've printed off, and I don't know if everybody's noticed or maybe folks have noticed, we've got some hard copies of flyers that we're putting around town. If you're interested in getting into the network or if you want to attend a meeting, but also just some informational things, resources for parents and kids and folks who work with kids around town, as well as adults that are potentially struggling with suicide, the thoughts of suicide and or addictions of any kind. One of the flyers that I included here, according to some statistics that we've got with the state, 20% of Carbon County middle school students have tried vaping. 43% have tried vaping at least once in the high school, at the high school age. And they said it's relatively easy. So we've gathered some of these statistics through surveys and information we've gathered through the State Department. And so they're basically letting us know that legal age to purchase nicotine is 21, but these kids aren't having trouble getting their hands on vaping devices and things. Another one of the little flyers that I included here are, it's specifically for Why We Talk. That's one of the programs that we're supporting. It's a great program. Check it out. It's Why We Talk Wyoming, WYWeTalk.org. And it's a great resource for parents and anybody who works with kids about talking about difficult topics. So one of the things that they mention on the website is if it's hard to talk about, it's worth talking about. So Why We Talk is a great resource if you want to talk about vaping with your kids, if you want to open up a conversation about difficulties that they're having or exposure that they might have to in school or difficult conversations that they want to have. Maybe it's just opening a door there. So those are the two things that we're encouraging you to check out this month. The Prevention Network is meeting in person this coming Monday, the 10th at 5:30 at the community center. So if you'd like to know more about the program, if you're interested at all, please stop by. And otherwise, there's some information here on the flyer, how to get in touch with Rachel Swanson, our director. So if you have any questions, feel free to, our phone numbers are here, our emails here. Please take a minute to maybe jump on the website for Carbon County Prevention Network. Again, that's Carbon County Public Health. That's our sponsor.
So is that on the Carbon County webpage then, under public health?
Well, it's.
Or is it its own separate?
The public health is on.
It's through the county webpage and it's got a standalone.
Okay.
And then there's just a title at the top for prevention. It takes you right into all the links with the topics that we cover and the things that we support.
Well, thank you.
Yep, thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. Okay, we'll move on to the WHAM 2025 Summer Convention Voting Delegate.
This is from WHAM. We're requesting that your municipality's governing body appoint an official voting delegate for the 2025 Summer Convention. It's held June 12th in Cheyenne this year. Just need to appoint a voting delegate.
Well, I can save everybody some trouble since I'm on the WHAM board. I can be the voting delegate
Perfect.
because that's where they take care of all the voting at.
Yeah, I thought that's what we did last time anyway.
So anyway,
That's your name on that.
we have that. That won't be hard to fix. Okay,
Chuck,
council comments,
we still need an alternate though, just in case.
an alternate,
I'll be the alternative.
okay.
I need to
I'll
go.
appoint Mike Cooley as the alternate.
Thank you.
The council in favor of that.
Yes, I know.
Council comment. Well, I just want to again thank Brush Creek for coming in, showing their support to the town. What we'll do is we'll pass around suggestion boxes and we'll have, the clerk stand, I think she's been in contact with you anyway. And we'll just go with that route and see what you guys can do. All right, thanks again. Okay, we'll move on to reports from departments and we'll move under town hall. And we have the Little League, so I would ask Mr. Creed if he wants to come up and do a little presentation about the backstop. Since I think you're still on the Little League board, aren't you?
Yeah, I was actually gonna have Carter take care of that, but, just, he's on our board now too. We're asking for, when we went through budget workshop, we asked for, I think it was 15 grand for a new backstop, on the north field. That's the one that we pretty much rebuilt from dugouts to fence and all that. So we budgeted it, it's a little over, the 10 grand that ended up being in the final budget. I think we've got enough funds to cover the rest of it, so we're asking for up to 9 grand from the town. I did talk to Karina. I think how we've done it in the past is we'll invoice the town when we get it in, but we have a Little League meeting tonight, a board meeting tonight. I assume we're gonna be making a motion and passing it to get the material in. So we can get started here and hopefully in the next month. Our supplier said it's about 2 to 4 weeks out on getting supplies in. So we want to make sure we have everything in before we turn the old one out. So we don't get caught out of backstop. Outfield fences you can do with snow fence, but backstops are a little tougher. So we're requesting that you guys approve up to 9 grand for the backstop. And we'll try to get that ordered and as soon as we can. And if we can get it in, we'd like to have that north backstop done before season starts this year.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but we budgeted 10,000 for them. Plus they also have their,
We
no?
included that with the Wyoming gas.
Oh, okay, all right, I couldn't remember exactly. So,
No,
okay, any questions for Creed?
This all steel now or
yeah, we're going all steel and chain link. So.
it last a while?
Yeah, instead of doing the old wood pole.
Any additional questions? I'll call for a motion to go ahead and approve this $9,000 to the Little League for, to pay a portion of the new backstop.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Creed.
And then another thing, I was gonna come to the next meeting, but since I'm here, I'm also coaching the Legion team. In the years past, I think we've just came and asked for permission to use the fields, for Little League and for Legion. I don't know if we need to have anything in writing formally. I just got done doing the insurance for Legion and had the town, as a rider on it. So I don't know if there's anything we need to do, if we need to have a letter or something submitted to you guys. We'll get you guys a letter, but I don't know if there's anything we need to do for Legion or for the Little League to use the fields.
You know, I wouldn't think there would be, and it's not, in the agreement we have with the Woods, I mean, we can use it for other sports, so this is
Okay.
still baseball.
And Little League has priority though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Little League.
I think that,
Yeah, and that's Legion works with the Little League and we have our game schedule set and we'll be working on our scheduling, but on the nights we have games on the south field, we won't have anything there Little League, but that's part of why we work so hard to get that north field. So
yeah.
we'll do everything we need to.
You know, I don't see any problem, but I'll run it by the attorney real quick.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think there is.
And I know in years past, Little League has came before the council and just, thank you guys for letting us use the fields and all your guys' help and get the condition they're in, but I didn't know if we needed to have a letter or something requesting it or not, so. But if you need something
I'll
else.
run it by the attorney. I don't think there will be.
Okay.
But we'll look into it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Creed.
you.
Sorry for that. I didn't know you were doing
I wasn't
that.
coming. I was.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We'll move on to item number 12, which is the Storpus property. I'd like to hold that for right now because we do need to go into executive session over that and discuss it a little bit. So we'll put that on hold now. Okay, we'll move on to the next, and that's the police department.
All right, Mr. Mayor, Council. Looks like the first thing that's on my agenda is the sheriff is actually here. If you'd like to come up and join me to present his quote for dispatch services and answer any questions.
This would actually be a contract with the sheriff's office to do dispatch. Moving ahead, it doesn't seem like we're having a lot of luck with a combined dispatch. But the sheriff has all the other communities except Rollins in his dispatch service. So just, I had John reach out to him to see what he would charge us for just a separate contract. And so he's here to give us a presentation on that. And so.
Presentation is a strong word, so. But about a month ago, Chief Moore reached out and asked, if we were to decide to unify our dispatch centers under the auspices of the county, what would that cost look like? So we broke down a quote. I sent it to Chief Moore. We all met in Saratoga at a later date and discussed the finer points of it. And then he did, and Mayor Davis requested I come down and give a brief presentation. So what we came up with was a total of $125,000, $125,087.62. And what this would be is full-time 24/7 dispatch services for law and fire. And the reason we came up with this amount and how we broke this invoice down, $87,087.62 would be for a dispatch position. So we could add another dispatcher. Right now, we're at 9 full-time dispatchers. This would put us to 10. That way we could run a minimum of 2 dispatchers per shift, since we would be taking over essentially what is an almost quasi 24/7 agency with the call volume Saratoga gets, the second largest municipality. The second portion of that invoice is $20,000 for overtime, just to ensure that we can maintain those 2 dispatchers per shift. The third is a pay raise for our dispatchers. We're going to be asking them to take on additional workload. It's my responsibility to make sure that they're compensated adequately for that. So that would be $13,000. And then the last $5,000 of that itemized quote would be for associated IT costs within our dispatch center. So if anything additional we have to fix, we have some money to address that. We met with all the commissioners one-on-one and just discussed what this would look like for the county, along with the treasurer. And, we were able to ensure that this money can be set aside to be utilized directly to the dispatch center, so we can make sure that we can perform as needed and expected by the town of Saratoga. So barring that, Chief Moore, I don't know if there's anything else you wanted me to go over. I'm here to stand for any questions as well regarding unified dispatch.
Questions
Favorite
for
topic?
the sheriff? We do lose a few things in Saratoga. We lose a couple of job positions, but the way budget cuts are coming, and I think it's a good move. There'll be a contract, of course, drew up, not an MOU, but a contract. And I think it's a great idea. We don't have to vote on it tonight. We can. I would like some approval to go ahead with it. I would like to at least start on a contract. I think it needs to be looked at. And
Press question.
1 second, I'm not done talking. But I think a contract needs to be looked at, and of course, that'll get passed back and forth between the sheriff and your attorney. I will take it upon us to have Kylie draw up a contract. You're in favor of that?
Yep, I'm agreeable to that.
And then we could present it to you, and of course,
Absolutely. the county's been pro-unified for quite some time, and with the passing of Senate File 69 and the likely budget cuts we're all gonna experience here, I think it's probably beneficial instead of all kind of starving alone on our separate islands to consolidate our strengths and work together. And in so, creating a more efficient communication system for our public.
Any additional questions?
No.
Do you want to vote on it tonight?
Don't matter.
What are you gonna vote on?
Whether we move forward with it or?
I would move that we move forward with it.
Okay, I have a
second
motion
that.
on the table to move forward with it and start on the contract.
Didn't somebody else want to say something?
Oh, I'm sorry, you did it. You had it. Well, let me call for it under discussion. Do I have a second to
I'll
that?
second.
Any discussion? You have the floor.
Yes, what's it costing the town currently to run the dispatch for you? If this is 125K.
Chief Moore?
So we're working on pulling all the numbers exactly, but it's right now in the area between 300 and 350-ish thousand for employees, benefits and equipment. On top of this 125, we still will have an additional cost because we'll keep one person on as a dispatcher / admin assistant to work the front desk Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. To still deal with our civil municipal warrants, dog licensing, any of those sort of issues. And that person is going to run about 90,000 a year. So it'll be 125 plus approximately 90,000 for one employee.
One other quick question. Will they, maybe to the sheriff, will they clearly identify, if I call 911 out of Saratoga, will they clearly identify that it's Saratoga that I'm talking to? Years ago, I called 911 when I needed help and I got Rollins and I said, hell, I don't want Rollins, I want Saratoga. And that was my reaction to it. And I'm just wondering about that.
Yeah, so the beauty with this part of the unification is if you dial 911, it's gonna go to the county dispatch center. Now, unfortunately, due to nationwide E911 paradigm with certain cell towers, some cell providers get routed to the Rollins dispatch center and then get transferred to the sheriff's office, which is why, after 2.5 years of kind of undertaking this exploration, I'm an advocate of an entire unified dispatch. So all the calls go into the same center and come out of the same center. But this does reduce the amount of centers your call could go to by 33%. And just some clarification, I forgot to mention on that dispatcher salary, that's a weighted salary that includes insurance and benefits.
On that, that's been one of the bigger topics is the 911. And it's, one thing good about it is when it does go in now, it pops up on your screen, correct? So he knows the exact location where it's at, GPS. Do you have a question? Oh. Okay. Any additional questions? I have a motion and a second, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I will get with our attorney and we'll start working on a contract.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Sheriff.
I think that's it. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yep. You have anything else?
I do. I just had to get my glasses so I can read through my list. I'll go ahead and just move to my actual report right now. It was a busy couple weeks since the last meeting. We've had 158 law calls for service. We had one resident was arrested by Officer Lear on a Carbon County warrant for probation revocation. There was a fight the other morning at the hot pool between a couple of gentlemen that were down there. They were calling dibs on the same spot and didn't like it. The other night in the 400 block of Sharp, we actually had a suspicious male just before midnight was knocking on the windows of a residence, but he was gone by the time the officer arrived in the area. We had a disturbance up in the trailer park between landlord and tenant. It was just verbal. That got resolved. And we have been dealing with multiple livestock issues, but we're working on that. I have a meeting tomorrow with Patrick Brady, more on that.
Is he coming up?
I think he just wants to do it on phone.
Oh.
Oh, and also to add, the incident that occurred Halloween night where the subject got injured and life flighted. The investigation's been completed at this time, and after speaking with the county attorney, what it appears happened is there was a disturbance inside the cantina. When one of the parties was leaving, they angrily either hit or kicked the door. We're still not quite sure. But the door is what hit the subject in the face and caused her injuries. And the subject that hit the door has now been charged with breach of peace and unlawful contact.
Okay.
And his initial court date is the 10th. So then after that, I'll be able to release all the names.
Okay.
And the next thing I have on my list is an invoice for High Tech Auto. Sergeant Lear's truck got repaired today. It had been over there a couple days. It ended up costing a little more than we thought. They had to replace the radiator again. It's the second radiator we've replaced in this truck. It's the 2018 Chevy Silverado. But the total of that came to $1,257.67, which will come out of my vehicle maintenance and repair budget. Just being over $1,000, I need council approval to pay this bill.
Questions? Discussion? Do I have a motion to go ahead and pay this invoice to High Tech Auto in the amount of $1,257.67?
I'll make a motion to pay invoice 21,629.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That the end of yours?
That is all that I have tonight.
I'd like to bring up one thing after visiting with interim chief, John Moore, I would like to go ahead and appoint him as chief of police tonight and swear him in. So that will be my appointment. I would entertain a motion from the council to go ahead and approve this.
I'd make a motion to go ahead with this.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. I'll swear him in right now. I can step down tonight.
You don't have a scooter tonight.
I don't have a scooter tonight.
Okay.
You'll raise your right hand.
I, John Moore, having been appointed as chief of police of the town of Saratoga in said county and state, do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Wyoming, that I have not knowingly violated any law related to my election or appointment or caused it to be done by others, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Thank you. Congratulations, sir. Okay, now you're not interim chief anymore, you're the chief.
All right. And
Anything else from the police department?
nothing from my side.
Okay, thanks, sir. We'll move on to the fire department. And our biggest, do you have a report to do?
Not much of one. I
Okay.
was just gonna let you guys know, Mr. Mayor, Council, pretty quiet month. We've had a couple of calls, I believe. Had a supposed structure fire this morning that didn't end up being a structure fire, thank goodness. We had our fireman's banquet last month, I guess, and car wreck then, so it's been pretty quiet. So that's really all I had to report. So,
Okay,
but
well, we have John Rutherford here from the Carbon County Fire District. There was some discussion on that. And the possibilities of the town pulling out of the fire district. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to you, sir.
off the path. Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. Sitting where you sit is definitely not an easy job. I appreciate that, and I hear folks a lot on social media saying how things should go. Well, it's easy to say that on social media, so I absolutely give you my gratitude for stepping up and doing what you do. Thank you. I would like to talk to you about a couple things. I was told that the town is considering pulling out of the contract with the Carbon County Fire Protection District. While I understand the town's position, I am a little bit puzzled by the stance. I would like to think that the town indeed does support their volunteer fire department and looks for ways to continue to support them. The district does, and I certainly do. I understand that providing a payroll service is an inconvenience. I do understand that. And I know that you've worked through some of the process of considering them as employees and how you get out of considering them as employees. I know that you've worked through that. So here's kind of where we're at. I do believe it is a slight inconvenience, but it is perfectly doable. It doesn't have to be done on a monthly basis, a bi-weekly basis. It can be done on a quarterly basis. It can be done yearly. Years ago, the county paid their volunteers yearly, and the volunteers actually looked forward to it because they got paid just before Christmas. So that was a big Christmas bonus, and they bought presents. They did whatever they wanted to do. But I don't believe that most volunteers really do what they do for the pay, but it certainly does help. It is a good incentive. The board's given indication that they don't like the idea of committing their resources, i.e. their staff. The board has given indication to me, we had that discussion, that they're perfectly willing to give a 5% administrative fee on all invoices that they process. Where that number came from is that's how I do it with the state of Wyoming. We have single resources that the district sends out to help on other fires. So there really was no allure for me to do all the paperwork if there was nothing in it for us. So people weren't doing it. State of Wyoming said, we've got a solution. Bill is 5%. So the district in 2024, with the resources that they had out last year, they pulled in just shy of $30,000. That was just from my time doing paperwork. So it definitely is a factor to consider that. I know that some seasons are different than others. Of course, we have fire seasons that we're busy, and then we have fire seasons that we're not. So I can't even give you an average of how many calls you'd be looking at. I think Chief Wallace would be a better resource for that to kind of gauge your time. But I would like to express that I don't want to see the contract just pulled altogether. It's tweakable. It's definitely amendable. We can sit down and we can figure out what that looks like. My fear is that if we just pull the contract, we have no agreement. That opens us up to some problems. If your firefighters are out in the county and they're fighting fire, and we don't have anything to support that, somebody gets hurt, a truck gets crashed, or worse, I'm not sure that we want to cross those bridges without having a piece of paper between us that says that we're supposed to be doing that. There's another benefit to the town is in the contract, it absolutely says you will get district resources to help you in your town at no cost. You absolutely get paid when your resources go out into the county, but the other way, there is no cost. So there's another incentive that I absolutely see. The district doesn't want to take on an additional 50 volunteers from the municipalities for obvious reasons. If we pay them, we take a certain amount of ownership for them. And that's straightforward. If we're writing the check, something happens, who do they look to if something goes south? Who's writing the check, right? So we would be responsible then for all PPE, the liability insurance, workman's compensation, retirement contributions, radio and paging equipment, training, and to ensure that policy and guidelines are adhered by all the volunteers. Well, it's a lot easier for me to deal with 40 volunteers or 50 volunteers than 140 volunteers. Trying to just adhere to those guidelines and those policies is difficult. All of the things that I've mentioned before you are already doing. Your fire department is already doing that. Why we would want to duplicate those services is counterproductive, and it's really a poor business model. I truly believe that a clean agreement is the way to go, and not have the gray that the county has had previously. And I'm not saying that we did a poor job. I'm not saying the county did a poor job, but it's a lot different world today with the legal hoops that we have to jump through. We make fun of the lawyers, but indeed, they do keep us out of trouble. And our legal advice has said, you want clean contracts. Now, if we just can't get there from here, then we need to sit down and figure out what the town is willing to provide and what the district is willing to provide, and amend that contract to get where we need to be. But we need to do it in a clean document, in a favorable light for both of us, and come out the other side with something that we can both work with. I understand that the dynamics here is certainly different than anybody else, because your fire department is a private fire department that you have agreement with. Nobody else works like that. A lot of fire departments will have a nonprofit stance, but that is so people can donate to the fire department. It goes directly to the fire department. Here it's different because you have different assets. So this is
But they are,
a nonprofit.
yes.
Yeah. So it is a different dynamic here, but it certainly isn't something that we can't get through. With that being said, I would stand for any questions that you may have.
I have one question. How was it done in the past, Don? I mean, when they went out on a fire, who covered what?
Well, we duplicated. The town was paying workman's compensation. The town was paying some retirement in Saratoga. The county was paying some parts of it. Some equipment was town equipment that was going out. Some equipment was county equipment that was going out. And it worked because nobody really paid attention to what happens if things go south. And that's my concern. And it's happened when I said, hey, this isn't our policy, or hey, this isn't our guideline. Hey, I'm on the Saratoga Fire Department and I'm not on your fire department. We were wearing two hats, and it caused a lot of problems for the fire warden, which oversaw that. But at that time, the fire warden really was more of a figurehead that coordinated between the departments, and they just kind of figured it out along the way. And we really need to get past that. Our legal obligations and our liabilities aren't going to allow us to continue with that model. As far as paying, you do payroll. What do you pay every 2 weeks? You do payroll every 2 weeks anyway. I own a business. I can do my payroll for 5 employees in about 15 minutes. Put the information in and I hit submit to QuickBooks. It prints out the checks. It's definitely doable. And the incentive is we're willing to pay you to do that.
Well, from what I've learned, talking with my ladies that do this, we pay our workman's comp quarterly. So we'd have to figure out any quarterly. We don't believe we can do it for 5%. And workman's comp has basically said, we're asking for a nightmare by doing it this way. That's just some of the things. The meeting that we set in on your meeting over here when you had it down here, I felt that we were not treated right. Nobody would kind of hear our side. Your attorney's texting people, telling them not to say anymore. How do we overcome that if we have a set down? How are we going to overcome that? I mean,
Mr. Mayor and council, I agree. And I can tell you, nobody dislikes the legal overreach that we feel. I don't know how your relationship is with your attorney, but our attorney is straightforward. She's bound and determined not to let us get into trouble by saying something that we shouldn't or by doing something that we shouldn't. I don't care for it, but it is what it is, and I'm certainly not going to sidestep that. You know, there's no.
No, and I don't ask you to sidestep.
No, I understand. There's no saying.
How do we get by that? I mean,
think-
our attorneys, when I hired my attorney, she says, I will keep you out of trouble.
Yes,
Okay?
I think the direction forward would be that we sit down, and have a work session to work through what we, both sides want this to look like, what we want the model to look like. And if the hangup truly is payroll, we figure out how to make that work. And if the town just is dead set that they don't want to do that, then we figure out how the district can do your payroll. As long as we've got a document that shows who follows what, who pays for what, whose responsibilities are where. That's what I'd like to see.
Okay. Council have any questions?
How do your other municipalities that have a similar setup that we've got where we have our own fire department and they go to county calls? I mean, you're gonna run into this in rural areas because the towns are only this big. We don't have fire departments out. They're usually the municipalities, they're closest, they're responding to these. Are you not paying already? Are you not already doing payroll?
Mr. Mayor, Councilman, we are, and the contract, we had a model with the county. And it first started with Medicine Bow, and then we contracted with Bags, and it worked pretty good. There was no dynamic as far as equipment. When we started out with Medicine Bow, they didn't have much county equipment. We made an offer of a water tender. We gave them, the county gave them a Type 6 brush truck. And so that was clean. Anything that went out, they billed us for, and we paid. And it worked for quite some time. Now there's some problems that's going on in Medicine Bow, and I'm not part of that, don't want to be part of that. So we haven't had a good relationship as of late. Bags was another one. We contracted with them. We made some lease purchase agreements for equipment. So the equipment was all the towns. When they go, they invoice us, and they still do, and we pay them. We pay them for their equipment, and we pay them for their man hours. Now, what the towns do between the town council and the fire departments was completely up to them. It would have to be an agreement between the fire department and the town. Medicine Bow years ago when we started, all the money was being funneled to the town or the fire department. So they were keeping a fund that they were building for PPE replacement, equipment replacement, and it worked pretty good. Now I'm not sure what's going on. I'm being told that money is not going to the fire department. Bags, same thing. The money was going, when Chief Huckey was there, the money was going to a fund to support the fire department. But I don't know what they're doing now. But that is absolutely between the fire department and the town, because our agreement with the county and the district too is between the district and town. This is what we will pay you for the service.
So when you contracted with them, like you did with Medicine Bow and Bag, who paid the workman's comp there? Who paid the liability? The town did cover that.
They did, and they were already paying it anyway. And we were both paying workman's compensation. So the county was paying it on the Medicine Bow firefighters, and so was the town. And that doesn't make any sense.
So in the past, when our firemen did go out in Canton or River or Saratoga, we were duplicating workman's comp.
I don't know what the town was doing, but I know the county was.
Well, we pay our workman's comp, but is it just for in town?
In town and do what you're asking us to do. We still have to figure the volunteer rate on every call that they go on. So that's the whole issue, is it's gonna be a nightmare figuring out every single time. That's why workman's comp said they strongly suggest against it, because it's not we already pay a flat rate. And then when they go out to a fire, every individual that goes out there, that has to be calculated every time.
Did you look into doing it on a payroll basis? That's how we do it. If they don't go on calls, we don't pay workman's compensation on that person.
Correct, but when they do, that's when they said the issue is gonna be. Because it's gonna cause issue, it's not something simple, it's not a quick 15-minute payroll cut. That's the issue.
I guess I'm not understanding because ours is straightforward. We pay a percentage and it's a rate and we pay it by the hour. Whatever they get paid, that's how we pay our workers.
Right, when we do ours is a set rate for the volunteer rate every time. And then if we add yours on top of it, that's when we have to calculate the extra hours on top. So we will still be paying for the district on top of what we are already paying.
It's definitely good conversation. And I think we should continue those conversations to reach an agreement that works for both entities.
Okay, well, rather than get tied up on all that, I have a letter ready to send to your attorney. Okay, it's up to the council to decide whether we want to go ahead and send the letter or whether we want to sit down as a group and see what we can come up with. What was the council would like to do?
The lawyers have already talked back and forth, I'm assuming.
Several times probably.
Okay, and they haven't been able to come up with an agreement?
Well, I think what's going on is they're doing what the district has asked, and our attorney's doing what we have asked. And there's no in between. And I would guarantee that's what's going on. Your attorney's standing behind the contract.
She is.
Our attorney is going by what we've said. And you know, from the very beginning, what was said and then what the contract spelled out, so.
Well, I kind of feel like we need to follow the advice of our attorney that we're paying myself.
So are we gonna end? So if we do send a letter, would you entertain going into further discussion? Or trying to amend the contract we already have? I think that's where we're at. And I think that's what John is asking, rather than totally pull out of the contract. See if we can sit down, the firemen, the council members, and see what we can come up with amongst ourselves. And which, you know, the ladies have got to be involved so they can, or at least one of them, so we can share our views. So that gives them something to take back to their attorney and something for us to take to our attorney. Do we want to try to work it out, or do we want to just send a letter? I think the firemen should have a say in this too. I'm sure they want to try to work something out.
Yeah, how do you guys feel about it?
Me, it seems like the attorneys are set right now on, and this is what the contract says. I mean, I went to one of their special meetings and it was, oh, thanks for coming. You got 5 minutes to talk. When you're done, no more talking, you know, and I think what needs to happen is discussion, you know, so if it's a workshop and, hey, this is what our problems are gonna be, this is what your guys' problems are gonna be, I think you can figure that out. You know, like I said, I think there's probably somewhere in the middle where that thing needs to be resolved, but it just seems like right now they're not looking for solutions. It's, hey, this is what the contract says, and this is what we want as a district, and this is what the contract says, and we're not moving off that, and I'm sure the town's attorney is saying, well, that don't work for us, so we're not gonna budge on it either, you know, and I think having the conversation is where you're gonna find a solution.
Creed, that was kind of the way our meeting went. You have 5 minutes to speak. Luckily, they were going into executive session, so we did get to air a few things out, but that was about it. So.
Mr. Mayor, Council, Creed. If the workman's comp and the payroll is really all we're hung up on, let me visit with my board. You can visit with the attorney And if that's all the deal breaker is, we'll see what we can do with that. And maybe this is a lot easier fix than maybe we think it is.
Council?
Mr.
Mayor, might I add?
Go ahead. Would you please stand up? Yeah, at least you don't have to come to the podium, but you can stand up.
I've been with these firemen and this district deal from day one. They're my favorite people in all the world. And we spent hours, Pat Wallace and me talked hours yesterday. I think you don't want to can it. One simple reason is you're still going to have equipment that you need to contract to the district, and that's in that contract. And I think you want to have that there and then tweak it. And I truly believe it is about the payroll. It's about the payroll issue here, the rate of pay. It was sold to the firemen that you would get paid. You would get, and some towns, you guys are totally different. Some towns do not pay their firemen at all. In the county, we always paid them because they truly are, they're worth a lot and way more than we pay them. And so it was sold that you get the mini mob rates, you get the training to reach the level to get a certain pay level. It went, and to get volunteers, more volunteers, because we need more volunteers, and it goes on that back. And so I think you want to leave that in place because there's aspects of it that you're still going to need, because the district still needs Saratoga Volunteer Fire Department. Saratoga still needs the district, and we just need to work it out. But I think a workshop's a good idea, and you can sit down and we have a very lightweight county attorney in Ashley Davis, and she doesn't shut us down like the district attorney does. That drove me nuts too. I almost, whoa, wait a minute. But anyway, that's where we agree to disagree. But a workshop's where you can sit down and talk about it, and we see how it's literally going to work, because there's truly nuts and bolts and there's policy, but there are some real hard things that I think that's in that contract that you just want to leave the contract in place. We're still going to pay, the district's still going to have to pay for your equipment when it goes out. And if you can the whole thing, then you're going to have to go back and start all over, and Lord knows what legal come up with that. And having been in public service probably way too long, everything's based on litigation. We're all worried we're going to get sued for something, somebody's going to mess up. And so the attorneys come at it really hard line, and that was the cleanest way to do it. I'm building a brick house for John, and he hires me, and I go out and do it, and I build the brick house and he pays me. What we're asking is, I go out and build the brick house, but I want him to pay that guy this wage and that guy this wage, and that's not clean in the world of legal. And so that's why this agreement came the way it was. And I think those of us who kind of knew how it was going to work didn't really make it very clear to the people that didn't, that it was going to be that way.
It didn't make it very clear. We were flat lied to. I mean, we were told it was going to be the same. Nothing would change through that. And that upset some people in the beginning.
Well, and I think that's, and that's, it was told that way because we were all excited. The district, we're going to do this, and these people are going to get paid, and we're going to be able to be a more efficient system doing this. But literally when it came down to the legal sitting down and do it, that's the clean way to do it. And then it's a district, it's a fire district, and every municipality in this county opted out of that district. So literally, if you live in this town, you are not a member of the Carbon County Fire Protection District. You don't pay taxes, you are not a member. So there's that little legal tweak that had to be considered in there. And so the cleanest way to do it was the way that the attorneys came up to do it, and that is the district contact with the entity and the entity deal. And like John said, we were working that already with the county with Medicine Bow. We did it with bags. But you guys are a different setup too. But I'm with John. I've talked to Pat. I think that you just need to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff that's gonna be changed down the road as this whole thing starts. It's something totally new and different to every one of us. But the district needs the volunteers, and the volunteers are vital to this operation. And I think that just need to be able to sit down and talk about it. And without having to worry about who's talking and how long and in what setting. And a workshop is where you want to do that. And you can have an attorney there or not.
Thank you, Sue. Okay, Mr. Nelson, yeah.
If I may, I want to make sure something's very clear that, and it's important to me because it is my reputation. I did not mislead this council. I did not mislead anybody. If there was something that was taken wrong, that did not come from me. And I want to point that out because it is important to me.
And I'm not gonna point fingers at anybody that did, but we were not told that in the beginning. That way, okay? Anyway, thanks, John, and nobody's pointing a finger at you. Mr. Nelson.
I think Sue touched on it, but maybe I can expand on it a little bit. Why don't we have a workshop where you're having a workshop, so no decisions are gonna be made, no action can be taken. And we make the attorney sit in the hallway. And that way, the people that are invested in solving this problem, because no one cares about getting paid. It's about workman's comp. It's a big factor in it, right? Something happens to any one of us. That's gotta be taken care of. We gotta ensure that that's in place, but we're all committed to the same goal, to provide emergency fire protection service to folks outside of the town limits of Saratoga. And I want that for me when I have an accident, I'm laying out on the highway too. So we all know what we need to do, and we all know what the goal is. It's not that complicated. So rather than fence over legalese and be told when we can and can't talk and share ideas in a meeting, why don't we? Can you guys do that? Can you enter a room without your attorney present?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's do it. I think my take on it, from having sat in a couple of these meetings, is if the attorneys are outside for a minute and we can have an open discussion amongst ourselves, I'll bet we can come up with a very simple outline of exactly how it can work, how it works for payroll, how it works for town, how it works for the department. And then we'll go back to our attorneys and tell them, here's exactly what we all want. Write it up.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? I'll leave it up to the council on how they want to move forward.
Well, it wouldn't hurt to have a public meeting on it, I don't think. We could have one and see if it can be worked out. But in the end, I'm going with what the girls there say they can do book-wise and stuff. That's good for them. You know, they got a lot on them already. Everything. And I'd like to talk to some of the firemen back there too and see what their feelings are on it. But it wouldn't hurt to have a meeting.
I think we get to talk about it.
No. You okay with a workshop? Okay, I will call for a motion to hold this letter of pulling out of the fire district, which is not a big deal. And ask for a motion to continue this discussion and move forward with the workshop fire district, our not the entire fire department, but a few members from the fire department. I'd also invite Tim to come along and the council that want to be there.
I'd make a motion to move ahead with it.
Do I have a second to Mike?
I'll second it.
Any additional discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We will, you can work, you and I can work out the details, John, or you can work it out with Pat, just as long as I got plenty of time to give my council members notice. We can hold it here. We can travel to Rollins.
Here would probably be more convenient for everybody involved, certainly you and the board. I'll just throw out some dates, Mr. Mayor, and then you can kind of look at them and see what dates look good for you, and your group, and we'll make those work.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
For coming in, John.
Thanks.
Yep. Thanks for your help, Stu.
You can probably go to the community center.
And we'll probably hold it on neutral ground. Okay. All right. Anything else from the fire department? Okay, we'll move on to the, wrong agenda. We'll move on to the recreation department. If I stole part of your thunder, I'm sorry.
I don't have any thunder. I kind of give you guys just a rundown of what's going on there. So co-ed volleyball just ended last Thursday. K-5 basketball has started as of yesterday. We had 105 kids sign up. So that's off and running like crazy, as you can imagine. Other than that, today I'm here for a chance to hire Michelle Chadwick at the contracted rate of $15 per class, plus an additional $2 per attendee of the class.
That's 2 per person?
Yeah, 2 for each participant of the class. It's the same as the other contracted employees that we have for classes.
And what's she gonna teach?
So she's giving me an outline for 3 different ones. One's gonna be a balance exercise. One's gonna be a core basics. And then there's some other cardio, Pilates type ones. It's gonna be geared mostly towards our elder demographic.
Okay.
And she's got 25 plus years of experience. She's got all of her certifications. I gave them to Karina today. Checked off all the boxes.
What's your recommendation, sir?
I would suggest that we do.
Do I have a motion to go ahead and hire Michelle Chadwick as to work with the rec department?
I'll make a motion to hire Michelle Chadwick to work with the rec department.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Any other questions?
Anything else?
No, I've got nothing else.
How long is Pee Wee basketball gonna last?
It'll last until the 29th or 30th of April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, well, because they have PTO meetings in March and they have spring break, so there won't be any during that time.
Okay.
Which is easier, doing that or herding cats?
Never tried herding cat.
See,
Thanks, Carter. Okay, we'll move on to Department of Public Works.
Mayor, councilors.
Good evening, Emery.
Good evening, Mike.
Glad to see you.
Good to see you. You starting off there on number 18. So at the last meeting, I talked about, we were kind of got our eyes on getting a paver for a month this summer. Try and work with that and see how much, we can get done with it. The only place we can gather one at a reasonable rate is Ferris Machinery. They've got an agent out in Cheyenne that pulls equipment out of Denver. So we'd be looking at getting a Lee Boy, kind of similar to what Rocky Mountain was using this summer. The Lee Boy is $11,000 a month. And then the transport our original quote is $2,300 each way. We got a few more to check. I think we can get it lower than that. So I want to get on their schedule because they're going to start filling up here pretty quick. So we're looking at up to $15 for that month's rental. If you guys don't have a problem with that, I'll let this guy know that we can get on the books. We're looking probably July 15th through August 15th, so we can get through the 4th, and after the 4th, that gives us a couple weeks to get some stuff tore up and be ready to when that thing shows up.
Any discussion? You have a motion to go ahead and have Emery pursue this rental on this paving machine?
I'll make a motion to move ahead with this, the rental machine.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, number 19, so we did get a couple of bids in for the parks maintenance contract. You guys have the bid tab there. Everything was filled out appropriately. Both contractors did a good job of filling out everything right. One was lower than the other one. But we would recommend that we give this contract for the next 3 years to AR Gonzalez for the total contract price. It's $111,000, I think like $680. But everybody was pretty happy about the three-year contract.
Were they?
Yeah. Well, then we don't have to do, it gives us a kind of a little reprieve from having to gear up and gear down, and everyone's trying to figure stuff out. And he's done it for us before in the past, and Eugene said everything went good.
Well, kind of worked for them too. Give them
Right.
a chance if they want to buy a new piece of equipment,
Or hire one more guy.
or hire another guy.
Mowing season here is pretty short as it is, so you know, it's hard to make an investment on stuff you only have for a year.
Any discussion? I'll call for a motion to go ahead and accept the low park maintenance contract bid of $111,000.
I'd make a motion to accept that bid.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Okay, a couple other things. We're starting up on that lift station for the airport. We're starting to put the pipe in. We're expecting delivery on the lift station actually Sunday, Monday. So that's showed up a lot quicker than we were actually expecting. So we'll hopefully get that knocked out this spring and move on. Over there at the park, we finished tying in the water line to the sprinkler system. So we got 2-inch meters all plumbed into the vault. So when we get the rest of that project bid out, they'll have water, they get the sprinkler system in and the sod and everything else. And the water line runs all the way around for where the bathroom will go. So that's all buttoned up. We wanted to wait until this time of the year so we could we could log all those hours and parts and stuff and use them as match for the grant. But we've been logging all of that time we've spent over there. So probably won't do a whole lot there until we get the rest of the bid package put together. WLC is working on it. The architects got the bathroom done. They're on the amphitheater right now. So we'll have a package hopefully here shortly. Let you guys look through it there on that project. Still working on design on the west bench. We'll probably start design later this fall on the sewer lines across the river. Looking at, to get survey in there pretty quick on those. And so we'll be doing a couple of pretty good sized sewer projects here next couple of years. So far, so good on those. Soon as things stay warm again, we'll start sweeping, and we got everything lined out. We got paint coming to get everything painted and cleaned up and pretty uptown, but it's not quite warm yet.
Summer's over. It was the last 3 days.
I know. I know. I went skiing on Thursday and I got sunburned. Great. And then our TAP grant, I've got a project where we're looking at the walk path at the school and the one over here. I've got, I had a meeting with Ralph today from YDOT, the district engineer. He is a really big fan of especially this project over here. So that bodes well for us on that application for that. And then once we get cost estimates, we'll be able to kind of look at how much we're going to be able to do. It's hard, we can do as best estimates as we want, but can we know how volatile construction prices are, what bids are going to come in at? Those are kind of the big projects. You guys have any questions on that stuff?
Good job. Good job. Keep up the good work.
Okay, appreciate it. Planning Commission, ordinance 879. This was the term alteration that we did. We're on the third reading. You guys go ahead and read that and appoint the members we have to those seats on that ordinance so everybody knows where they're at. And I believe we put a copy of the ordinance in there with the names by the C terms in there in red.
You want to read down by title, please?
Saratoga ordinance number 9, an ordinance amending Title 2, Chapter 2.16, Section 2.16.010 of the Town of Saratoga Municipal Code concerning the planning commission term lengths and term limits and to provide an effective date.
Questions? I have a motion to go ahead and approve ordinance number 879, planning commission term limits, third and final reading.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Do I have a second to approve ordinance 879?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on.
Okay, so on this number 21 ties into that ordinance you just read. There's 7 members that we currently have since we appointed the 2 at the last meeting. We could get those seats, appointed each seat listed on there. Should be at page 33.
Yeah.
They're in red.
Okay. I'll read how they're appointed. We have seat number 1, 2-year term ending in 26, Johnny Pertello. Seat number 2, 2-year term ending in 27, Nancy Ford. A 2-year term for Matt Baker ending in 2027. A 3-year term for Michelle Bureau ending in 2026. A 3-year term ending in 2027 for Chia Valdez. A 3-year term ending in 2028 for Tana Davies. And a 3-year term ending in 2026 for Joe Delhomme. Do I have a motion to go ahead and read these? Or go ahead and pass this seat and term limit for these members of the planning commission.
I'd make a motion to pass this and go with the seating order and everything.
Do I have a second?
The amount.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Set in stone. Set in stone now.
Set in stone.
Yeah.
Now we know. Okay, number 22. This is, I'm just kind of reintroducing. So the Title 17, we're gonna have the public hearing at the next meeting. All published. If anybody wants a copy, we've got them down there at Town Hall on the website. Please take a look. If anybody's interested, please come read through it. Please come make comments. We're not, and once again, we're not changing, what's allowed in zoning districts. We're not changing setbacks, things like that, design standards. This Title 17 purely deals with the process of subdividing land and what's required when you do that as far as assurances and the process as a whole. And there was a lot of questions the last couple that we did. So we went and reestablished a procedure where it's congruent, it's easy to understand, and hopefully we don't have as many questions or quote unquote gray areas as we go through that process is the main reason for that.
Any questions on Title 17? Okay, we will have a public hearing on March 18th.
5:30.
At 5:30 p.m. Okay, we'll move on to the Water Sewer Joint Powers Board.
Don't have much to report there. Next meeting, next Wednesday.
Okay. Recreation Commission.
Had a meeting last night. Carter pretty much went over everything that was discussed in his report. Question did get brought up to some of the members that are on the board from Brush Creek about if they were able to secure any additional funding to help with the rec center. They had taken that to the White Foundation, and I guess they have donated hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to other YMCA's and stuff across country. So White's maybe kicking in some money to help build the rec center that.
The aquatic center.
Well, he's trying to get away from calling it the aquatic center because he wants it to be more than just a pool. So he does want to kind of lean towards it being more of a rec center.
Do you have something to add? Yeah, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gabi Trude. I'm the Director of HR out at Brush Creek. So I got news on Friday that Beth White and the Dean and Barbara White Foundation are the ones that are pillared in a lot of wellness in the community, primarily in Indiana. However, with the connections to Saratoga, they're very passionate about bringing that out here as well. So Lauren is going to work on scheduling a follow-up meeting with Nick and Beth and our foundation directly, but they are very, very interested. I actually spoke with Beth today and she brought it up again. So hopefully we'll have some more outcome over the next couple weeks. So we're really excited. I think it'll be a great addition.
Well, please keep us posted.
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Will do. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. Their next meeting is
April
April
7th.
7th at 6 p.m. here at the town hall. We'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. D-Ron, do you have anything for that tonight?
There are meetings on Monday.
Okay, all right. Thank you. The South Central Wyoming Emergency Medical Service, and I see we have a representative here tonight, Miss Marie.
Sorry, I haven't come sooner. My dance card has been kind of full and I am short. I have a couple of updates for y'all. So for the Hannah Station, a proposal was made to use a portion of the Hannah Rec Center as the ambulance barn. But after several discussions and assessing the cost of modifications, it was determined that the cost would be too high. And the rec center would never be owned by Schwimm's, which makes it less of a viable solution for us. So currently, we're working with engineering associates to evaluate property from the school district. And hopefully it would be a location for our new ambulance barn. So we'll be discussing that further. And then with funding for the Hannah ambulance, the MRG grant, USCA grant, and the Wyoming Community Foundation grant, with all of those grants combined, the Hannah ambulance project is fully funded now. And we are going to move forward with purchasing another ambulance.
Wow.
So that's huge. We're also moving into a new billing company. So anyone in the county that receives a bill from the old company, Wakefield, they should contact them regarding clarification or resolution. And then everyone receiving a bill from EMSMC medical billing should reach out to them for any issues. And we just started March 1st with the new billing company. Next update is we will be having conversations with North Platte Valley Medical Clinic or Center regarding two things we want to address. One is a contract or MOU for allowing our employees and volunteers to assist in the hospital during critical emergencies. And then in return, the hospital will compensate the ambulance service for the work done. Then next, we would like to pursue an MOU, and we'll have to talk to them about payer of last resort. Currently, we're losing money on transfers to hospitals because when we transfer these patients, a lot of times we aren't paid for it. And so we need to have a discussion with the hospital to see if we can figure out payment so that we're not losing money on these. Because with the hospital here, we do have a lot less calls But we are transferring a lot more patients. And when we have a lack of volunteers, when our volunteers are out transferring a patient, wherever they're going, sometimes we may have a lack of service in the valley because of that. So we're trying to prevent that, but also make sure that we're available and able to pay for everything as well. Next this is my 6th year on the Schwinn's board. 5th year as a secretary, and my term is coming up. I would like to ask the mayor and council to consider finding a suitable replacement for me. Because this is a wonderful board that works really well together, and they try to make a positive impact on the community and volunteers. I've really loved my time on the board, and I would like to help in other ways. I am also the youngest on the board. And so if I can then pursue certification as an EMT to help in that aspect, I would love to do that. So, and then the next meeting is March 17th, 6 p.m. in the Saratoga Ambulance Barn.
I have a question. Do you have people suggestions for a replacement? If you do, I mean, please drop them by and we can discuss them ourselves. And we can get that. You know, I will leave that up to the ambulance crew to whether they want to advertise or spread the word by mouth, put it on Facebook, however they want to do it.
Okay.
Or we can advertise too, as it comes closer.
Okay. It is an appointment from
I know,
the town. But yeah.
but yeah,
Candidates.
no. You sure you don't want to do it? You're gonna do it by just appointing. Just kidding. Just
I have a lot on my plate, as you know. So thank you.
one other quick question. How come you're not getting paid for transfers? Don't they bill the insurances, Medicare, Medicaid and stuff like that?
They do, but with Medicare, Medicaid, they pay according to timing, and they pay according to who the patient sees first. And so since the patient is already at the hospital and the hospital
Transferred to a bigger hospital.
yeah, then we don't get paid for it. The hospital gets paid, but we do not.
Well, that's not.
The hospital gets paid for it, but you don't.
They get paid for their care, not necessarily.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right.
There's more to it, but
Yeah.
that's a general.
All right. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Maria.
coming, Maria. Okay. Is there any new business to be brought before the town? Okay, I'm gonna call for a very brief executive session. It's to discuss litigation under Wyoming statute 16-4-405, little a, 2 I's and 3 I's. So, I don't know what A. We'll have a brief executive session. We'll be right back. Oh, yeah, I know. So I have a motion to enter into executive session. I'll make motion. 7:20. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, do I have a motion to call this exit executive session
I'll make a motion to exit executive session.
at 7:25? Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I have a motion to call this meeting back to work.
I'll make a motion to call the meeting back to order.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have one item of business to discuss. And that would be the Stropus property, which we wanted to purchase approximately 0.16 acres lake from the town. The council has reached a decision. The chair would entertain a motion. Make that motion, Terry?
Make a motion to do nothing on it.
Not to sell the property at this time
Yeah,
until the remainder of the other properties cleared up.
it's cleared.
Do I have a second to
I'll
that?
second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I will notify the attorney tomorrow to reach out to their attorney and let them know what we decided. Okay. Is there any other items to be brought before this council? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned.